Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm John.
Welcome to our series on the 2024 zoning amendments. We thank you for tuning in and hope you find this information extremely helpful. Now to take a look at proposed zoning amendment number 7, which reads as follows. Amend section 304 in Article 5 to remove the current open space residential district requirements and replace with a reference to a new set of open space residential district standards that will be housed in Article 9 of the Plymouth subdivision regulations, which now John will walk us through a little more in detail about what that means. John?
So this amendment, amendment number 7, pertains to open space residential development, sometimes called cluster developments. And these are developments that allow for a greater density of building within a space in return for preserving open space around that development. So basically the developer gets to put housing more tightly together, cluster utilities as well tightly together, save some money in return for preserving open space for the use of the community. And this is a very desirable form of development for many people. And so what we're proposing with this amendment is to move what is currently in our zoning ordinance, the guidelines for open space residential developments, OSRD, into our subdivision regulations. And what does that mean? It does not mean that open space residential development, these kind of cluster developments as we sometimes call them, are going away. Rather, it means that we're just regulating them in a different place. Why? There have been lots of voices that we've been listening to, getting legal counsel on these issues, and it just seems that the way forward, and some towns are already following this pattern, are moving these sorts of regulations from the zoning ordinance to the subdivision regulations. It just seems legally a better way to go. And there's a lot of complex arguments about why that would be the case, which if you want to get into those, you can come to our public hearings and talk about those. But what's really important for the public to know here is that the potential to develop in this way is not going anywhere. It's just being put in a different place. Now, as an aside to that, when we do move these regulations, if this amendment passes from the zoning ordinance to the subdivision regulations, it's quite probable that we will change some of the language of those regulations for these sorts of developments. Why is that? We want to update some of that language, clarify some of that language, bring it into current best practices, and when that happens, there will be a public hearing. To get anything into our subdivision regulations, that's a whole other process of having a public hearing. And then in that case, though, the whole town doesn't vote on what those changes are. The planning board does, but only after hearing and carefully considering the input of the public. So if you are concerned that we're taking it out of the zoning ordinance, no worries there. We're just making a reference in the zoning ordinance to their future home, hopefully, in the subdivision regulations. Thank you for joining us for proposed zoning amendment number 7.
Thanks, John. And if you have any further questions on the information that was just provided to you, please don't hesitate to reach out using the information on your screen. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.